So empowerment is such a cool theme for someone like me, as you might imagine. People know I'm all about power and taking it up and finding that power inside of ourselves and letting it out and be free, because to keep it here is just not good. So thank you for joining me in that knowing. So I wanted to start with a little story about myself. When I was about 11 years old, I was, freewheeling, fun young person. And for some reason, I guess it was like 6th grade, for some reason, the boys in my class loved to come up to me and stand about like a quarter of an inch around, just right there, right in front of me, and look down on me and say, "How's the weather down there?" And, you might imagine my annoyance with that, because they all love to do it. Just, "How's the weather down there?" And there was no, space, no boundary respect whatsoever. It was just, "Hey, Dale, how's the weather down there?" And so I thought, after the 20th person would come over, I just said, "You know what? I am really done with this, and you're not funny. And everybody else is saying this, so we're done here." I had to really set it, because it was just such a dumb thing, just to put it, such a dumb thing. But as I'm thinking about my life and the different ways in which I've had a relationship with power, I was thinking about the messaging that experience had for me. I mean, yes, it was all fun, right? They were just joking with me. But really, subconsciously, what was going on there is somebody standing really close to me and saying, "I'm more powerful than you." I mean, that's what the messaging is. And I know that a lot of us, that's what comes up for us is in the messaging from childhood and our experiences, where somebody asserts themselves and says, "I am more powerful than you." It happens to us growing up, and we can't help that. We need parents, we need people who are in authority to guide us and tell us what to do. But it does set up a power relationship for ourselves. And we pray that by the time we're adults, we break through that and realize that we are the power in our lives. We are the authority. But I know for myself, coming up into life, I didn't make that switch. I kept people in power above me, whether that power is parents, whether that power is religion, whether that power is the world at large. That is what many of us come up to into adulthood, is keeping people in a higher position of power than we are. And so my first quote today is by Alice Walker. She says, "The most common way people give up their power is by thinking they don't have any." And right? I mean, that's common. I felt that way coming up. I didn't think I had the power. I mean, I knew I had power, and I think a lot of us know we have a certain power. We make decisions for ourselves. We do things that we like. We go get involved in activities, whatever. But there is this level of power I am not sure most of us know we have inside of ourselves that is ours to live into. And I call it divine power. I call it the power of love. I call it this infinite source and energy that is who I am. A lot of what I talked about in the religions. There is a power in this universe that is everywhere present that we are expressions of. We are it. We aren't divided from it. We aren't separated from it. We don't need to beg it to come into our lives. It is within every cell and fiber of our being. And I'm not sure we all have been empowered to know that. And that's what we teach here. This is one of the foundational pieces of what we teach here. Ernest Holmes said, "There is a power for good in the universe, and you can use it." We've morphed it a little bit. We say we are it. Not only can we use it, but we're it. So we're using it every second of the day. And so we might as well use it in a way that is in alignment with those gifts, like Christine talked about, those unique gifts that we are. And the gift is simply the gift of you. It doesn't mean you have to be doing something extraordinary. The extraordinary is you and being who you are. And so my next slide, I'm sorry, Gilmore wants me to elevate the way I talk about our quotes. So my next quote is Ernest Holmes, and I just came upon this in my reading this weekend. He says this: "The wall that keeps you from the greater good is built of mental blocks cemented together by fear and unbelief, mixed in the mortar of negative experience." Wow! Oh my God! And I look at this greater good as being our power. That's our power. But we've created this wall. I can so relate with that. I can so relate with that. Because when I have been going through my life and I have run into places where I said, I am powerless. And I don't want you to think that I'm in this place where I'm totally empowered and I have no more left to go, because I have plenty of empowering still left in me. And there are times where I bump into that wall and I say to myself, there's nothing I can do about this situation. I am powerless. And boy, do I smack myself when I say that. I go, who are you, Reverend Dale? Who are you, Reverend Dale, to say I can't? Because that is just not who I am. And so it begs me and it calls me forth into asking myself, am I really powerless? Am I just telling myself this? And I think for myself, and maybe some of you out there, we confuse power and powerlessness with needing to control this outside world, right? We think I'm powerless because I cannot affect climate change. I cannot affect politics. I cannot affect my family and what they're going through. And the thing that happens is we get so in this alignment with situations outside of ourselves, and we think that that's where our power is. It's coming from this needing to be a certain way or that needing to be a certain way. And if it isn't, I have no power. And like Buddhism teaches us, what Buddhism teaches us is to detach from that thought, detach from that belief, because it is not true. Yes, I cannot control what's outside of me. God, I can't. But that doesn't mean I'm powerless, because all the power I need to be in this life doing what I love to do is right here, and it is always flowing. And so my next quote, which follows this Ernest Holmes quote, is now you are to tear down this wall to completely destroy it. And I love that. I love that vision, to just destroy that wall, that negativity that has anchored us and put a wall against our being able to live in our good and to have our power, that wall that needs to come down now. Now. We were not born to live behind walls, especially spiritual walls. We are here to be in the flow of life, and whatever we need to do to tear down the wall, we can do it. We can do it. And my next quote is this. So this takes us to who we are. And I found this lovely quote by Don Miguel Ruiz. He says this: just imagine becoming the way you used to be as a very young child, before you understood the meaning of any word, before opinions took over your mind. The real you is loving, joyful, and free. The real you is just like a flower, just like the wind, just like the ocean, just like the sun. This is who we are. And that wall, when that comes down, that's what we live in. And it's always there. And, I've had my times in life where I had depression. And I felt like my life was just a mess. I felt like there was that wall. I felt like there was no penetrating it at all. But I did what my heart was pulling me to do, which is to find myself spiritually. It was a very, very consistent voice. And I heard it on the other side of the wall, but I didn't know how to tear it down. And I heard it kept saying, follow your heart, follow your heart. But I didn't know how to reach my heart until I came into science of mind. And Ernest Holmes pulled it all together for me. He taught me that my beliefs, don't believe your beliefs. He taught me to believe in truth and who you are. That's the only belief you need, to know that you are the divine in expression. Believe that. Don't believe you're less than. Don't believe you can't. Don't believe that you were born to suffer. Those are mental constructs that we have just pulled together, put the mortar around, and sat in it, keeping us from being that beautiful, fluid power that just wants to flow. And it's from childhood that we can reconnect with what that energy is, because I do believe that we were born perfect. Actually, we still are perfect. We just can't see it. But I believe we are all born perfect. We are all born into wholeness. We are all pure love. But life does happen, and we forget. We forget the power that we are. We forget the power of our heart. We forget the power of our vision. We forget who we are as these unique, individualized expressions of spirit that we all are. But the cool thing is we can remember again. We absolutely can remember. This room is a place of remembrance. This room is where you are going to be reminded that you are beautiful, you are magnificent, and there is nothing you cannot do. I don't care what kind of stuff you've gone through in life, because what I know about everybody in this room and you online there, what I know is there is a spirit that is strong and powerful inside of you, and it wants you to tear down the wall. My next quote is this. So, I say all this wonderful stuff, and you're all like, yeah, that sounds so great, right? But I know, sitting in those seats that I used to sit in, I used to hear all this great stuff, but my question I asked myself is, how can I possibly bridge this gap, feeling how I feel, having experienced what I've experienced in life, the false beliefs I've come to accept that truly are not who I am, but how do I disentangle that? And I will tell you, it does take whatever time it takes. It takes prayer, it takes being curious, it takes forgiveness, it takes a dedication to finding your spirit. And so one thing I thought I would bring to you to tune into regarding your power is, where are your energy leaks? Because a lot of times we don't know, where do I start to get my power back? And finding out where you're losing your power is a great way to start. When we are mindful about when we feel that power going down, and I know you all know what I'm talking about. You're having a conversation with somebody and your power starts going woo, or you see something on the news and you go, oh, there goes my power. Or you're with a family member who you have this kind of thing with and your power goes down. That's where you start identifying it. Start seeing when you lose your power, because the mind is a very powerful thing. It is also a very healing thing. That is where healing takes place. When you can be the observer, see what you're going through, what disempowerment might be taking place, in order to bring that power up, see where you're losing it, and bring it back. Bring it back, because you can. We don't need to give our power to anybody at all. You are completely still that whole perfect being you were when you were brought into this world. And it's time to live in that and be living in a purely, strongly empowered state. And my next quote is this. Oh, I love this. No sacred cows, you are the authority of you. I used to work at the Desert Sun. Anybody work at the Desert Sun? When I first came to the Valley in 2000, I was so blessed. I became the administrative assistant to a very powerful woman who was the director of advertising. And I'm always very fascinated by empowered women, because I want to be empowered and live an empowered life. So I'm always kind of watching how they think, what do they do. And so she called me in her office one day just to go over some notes that we needed to do. And so she closed her door, and I noticed on the back of her door was this sign that she made. And it was she said, her name was Dar, and she said, Dar's rules to live by. And two of those rules were no sacred cows, and you are the authority of you. And those really stuck with me, because when we want to go to these deeper levels of empowerment, really deeper, really getting it all, we've got to be careful of people we are putting on pedestals, people who we think are so much better than us or so much more knowledgeable than us. Because when we're doing that, they go here and we go here. And so she taught me, no one is above you. We're all equal. And she was all about equality. We are all equal. We all come to the game with what we come with. And to think that someone's so much better than you puts you down. And she reminded me, too, of us being the authority of who we are. And I know that might be weird to some of you, because you're not used to feeling that way. And I understand that. I used to feel like I was just, a bug on the ground. I didn't even know about being my own authority, what that meant. And I just want to tell you, I'm working with somebody right now. I do spiritual counsel. And I'm working with this woman right now. And she's in one of those places in life where she is really tired of letting everybody else have power over her. And so there's this thing that's starting to bubble up inside of her that wants to be in the power seat of her life. But she's struggling with it. And so I talked with her, and I gave her some instruction, and we prayed. And the next week she came back and she goes, oh my God, I'm starting to see the power, and it feels weird. She goes, I feel really insecure with this. This doesn't feel right, this power thing. What is it, me being in power? I don't trust myself. And I told her to stop that, because being empowered might be a new experience for you, but clearly your soul wants it. So feel uncomfortable, because it's not going to last long, because once you feel power and you start trusting yourself, it starts growing and expanding. And so my question to you is just to ask yourself, what wants to be empowered inside of me that I haven't given the ability to do so? Or where am I not being the authority in my life? Because being the authority of your life is really, really empowering you, every part of you, your desires, your decisions. And you can trust yourself, but it can be a shift. You might be partly there, you might be all the way there, but if you're not there at all, practice empowerment. We've got to practice it every single day. I did. When I came to this center, I knew I wanted to be in charge of my life, like really in charge of it inside of myself, not so much outside, but I really wanted to trust myself. And so it took me time. I had to practice what that meant. I had to see what comes up that blocks that. And I just let myself go through it. And then one thing leads to another, and I'm a minister standing here in front of you, fully empowered and excited about what I have to teach you. Thank you. I always say, if I can do it, you can do it. And I really mean that. My next quote is this. Okay, so this pedestal thing, I love to put people on pedestals, and I've got to stop it. I really do. I think putting people on pedestals, like I said earlier, it puts us down here. And there's good things about respecting people who might be doing wonderful things. That's great. It's just that whole pedestal thing. And so just an example of empowerment. So I'm looking through quotes, because obviously we do a lot of quotes when we do our talks. And I was thinking, I cannot find the perfect pedestal quote. Nothing is really hitting what I wanted to hit. And then I decided to empower myself and write my own quote. And I thought, well, that's living it, that's showing it. And so this is my quote: what you see in them is already inside of you. You diminish your power when you refuse to see that truth. That's where we make the error by putting people on pedestals, when we say they've got it and I don't. Because honestly, if you see it in someone, it's inside of you and it wants to come out and play. And so instead of putting people on pedestals, say, you know what, I really love that they do that. That's so cool. That must mean that I too can do that. And so I'm going to empower myself to do that or to be like that, whatever it is. We absolutely have that ability. So start looking at people that you're putting on pedestals a little bit differently, because you know what? When they fall off that pedestal, it is not pretty. I will tell you that. I've learned my lesson. Anyways, my next quote is this. Oh, my talk title, Power Up. Power Up. So I brought this, I wanted to bring this whole idea of power to a higher level. Because yes, there is this empowerment of really making decisions for ourselves and living the life that we want to live, but we're going to go even higher with that, and that's why I wanted Higher Ground to be the song that was done today. Because to raise our power up with what we talk about here, about remembering who we are, that's the elevation of consciousness. I invite you to join me in. Because when we really live into knowing who we are letting go of restrictions, we are letting go of limiting ourselves, we are letting go of living in these little boxes of saying, I am this, I am this, I am this, and I can't do anything else but that. We're breaking ourselves free. We are powering up to that greater energy that we are. This energy, I call spirit, I call it love, I call it the quantum field. I call it a lot of names, as do a lot of people, but whatever resonates with you, that lifts you to that power, and connect with it, and know that's who you are. And when we live from that, we have such an expansive life. We have such freedom. And so that's why my talk is Power Up, to unlimited possibilities, to the allness, to the wholeness, to anything you want. And my next quote is this. Oh, Emerson, I love this quote. Do you want to be a power in the world? Then be yourself. Be true to the highest within your soul, and then allow yourself to be governed by no customs or conventionalities or arbitrary man-made rules that are not founded on principle. And I love this quote because this, and Emerson was he was just like the trendsetter for not listening to anybody or anything but you. But you, isn't that beautiful? And to trust it, to know you can trust that. I know there are people in our lives that might say, you can't, who do you think you are? Remember those old tapes? We're done. We know who you are. We know the amazing being that you are. We know you are brilliant. We know that everybody has something different to bring in this world, and we say, please, bring it, because we need everybody's different expression. Together, we make a beautiful, beautiful cornucopia of life to be as expansive and wonderful and good as possible. And so let's listen to Emerson and just pull all of that stuff away and listen to yourself. And, you know, the silence, I love the song In the Silence that we did today. And I know sometimes the silence isn't always a comfortable place to be in. Sometimes it's scary for people. I hear it. People say it scares me a little bit when I go into that place. But you know what? Get comfortable. Practice it. Because the silence, I'm telling you, the silence is where the creative flow of life comes in. It's where you can open yourself up to seeing something that has not come into this world that you're vibing with. You're vibing with it. We've got to stoke the fire. We've got to power up. We've got to let it out. We've got to be who we are. And that's what Emerson is telling us to do. Don't be ruled by the outer world. Be ruled by this world. And my next quote is this. Calvin Coolidge, of all people, we do not need more intellectual power. We need more spiritual power. We do not need more of the things that are seen. We need more of the things that are unseen. I believe this is the call of the day. This is where power exists, is going beyond this world, which is a wonderful world. Don't get me wrong, I love it. But there's more. There's more. And the inventive, the intuitive, the brilliant people, the creative people are the ones that bring this new stuff into this world so that we can have a better reality. And you are those people. You are those people. You don't need to invent something. You need to be you. Let that out because we're all in this energy field. We're all interconnected. And when we're living from this place of empowerment, we're empowering each other. We're saying, yes, be creative. Yes, be who you are. Yes, step out and be part of this wonderful humanity. And it is spiritual. It is spiritual, and to me, that is where it's at, and that's what we need more of. And spirituality is how you define it. There is not one way. There is not one way. And my next quote is this. This is my last quote. Empowerment, and this is another, I just decided this is my definition of empowerment for today. Today is trusting and loving yourself so implicitly that self-expression is effortless. Because I see a lot of people, and I've seen myself in my past, not letting that self-expression happen, holding it back, because I don't trust my power and I don't trust me. And I'm done with that. I am so done. Are you? Yes. So done, so done. Yeah, and so the work to do is to trust ourselves and to love ourselves. That's where it's at. When we can get there, when we can truly dig into that, feel that, and express that, we are empowered. I want to finish with this. This week was a really lovely, lovely week. Not because these two beautiful beings were out. Elizabeth and William had a lovely trip. But what I liked about it is I had a chance to come in this sanctuary by myself. And I just sat on the floor and I meditated. And I felt love. I felt this ocean of love in this room. I was so feeling it. And I realized that life, empowerment, self-expression, it's about love flowing. That's it. And this room is a place where love lives. This room is a place that heals lives through love, through spiritual empowerment. This room is an extraordinary place to be. And I know those of you who are online, you're not in the room, but you are with us. But this room is a room that goes with us wherever we go. This room is our soul. Within you is the love that's in this room, the healing that's in this room. It's within every cell and fiber of your being. You take it with you when you leave and have a lovely week. So as we start Empowerment Month, I invite you to be very aware of yourself. Be very aware of your mind and where it's taking you. Be very aware of your energy if it's leaking. Be very aware of when you feel your power being depleted. And do what you can to take your power back and know that your power comes from within, not outside. And when you live in that place of complete empowerment of who you are expanding yourself, you are living a magnificent life, and you are doing what you are here to do. Namaste. Thank you. Thank you.